Gemara Brochos, page Nunches, 58. We're up to 58b. And we finished on Friday. We were learning about the different brachos a person recites on seeing certain things. Like, for example, a person sees Batei Yisrael b'Yishuvan, houses of Klal Yisrael inhabited. You say Baruch Matziv B'Vol Almana. You say the bracha who establishes a boundary of the widow, of the border of the widow, which Jerusalem is considered a widow, or Israel is considered a widow. And when they came back to rebuild these communities, you say this bracha that Hashem rebuilt. He establishes the widow. And when you see them in their destruction, you say the bracha dayon ha'emes. See non-Jewish houses of non-Jewish people, or buildings of non-Jewish people. There's a certain bracha that base Gayim Yisach Hashem, or pasuk. You say not a bracha, a pasuk. Hashem will uproot the houses of the Gayim, Bali Gaiva, those that are haughty. B'churbanan, when a person sees their destruction, you say today's Shir Shal Yom, Kel Nekamis Hashem, Kel Nekamis Efi. Hashem is a God of vengeance. And then talked about the story of Ula and Rav Chizda, and they came upon the house that used to be the house of Rav Chana bar Chaniloi, and Rav Chizda side, and they were Ula was surprised. Why did he sigh? It's not a healthy thing to do. So Rav Chizda explained himself about the wealth that and the mitzvahs that used to be done in this house, helping out the poor, and how this house has been destroyed. That was the story of the house of Rav Chana bar Chaniloi. Rav Chana bar Chaniloi, I guess it's pronounced. And the Gemara then mentions that Ula continued to try to comfort Rav Chizda by telling him, the Beis Hamikdash is destroyed, and the decree applies to any house of tzaddikim. There's a Zera decree, and and the fact is that Hashem is going to rebuild them in the future, just like the Har Tzion. It compares the houses of tzaddikim to the houses that were destroyed, which it says the tzaddikim's houses were going to be destroyed. So it says they will be rebuilt, and it's based on a pasuk, based on a verse in Tehillim, Shir Malos. One of the Shir Malos it says, "Haboitchem b'Hashem Har Tzion." Those that trust in Hashem are just like Har Tzion, and that refers to the fact that that they're going to be rebuilt. But Rav Chizda was not comforted with that, so he told him that you shouldn't really be more lamenting over this house more than the Beis Hamikdash. Then they were mentioned about a person sees kvarim, and this bracha is recited even nowadays. A person goes to a cemetery. If you didn't go there within 30 days, you would say this bracha, blessed is Hashem who created you in judgment, which refers to all the people that are buried there, and he feeds you in judgment, he sustained you in judgment, gathered you in judgment, he's going to resurrect you in judgment as well. And then the Gemara mentioned about a statement of additional part of this bracha, which we also say, Mar Barit Ravina, in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, added a few words to this bracha. V'yodea mispar kulchem, he knows the number of all of you, referring to all those that are buried there in the cemetery. He knows all, and he was going to resurrect you and support you Blessed is Hashem, Machaya Hamesim, who resurrects the dead. Now, when you see Goyish graves, you say a different bracha, or you say a pasuk actually, not a bracha. Busha Imkan is a pasuk. Okay, then we mentioned about seeing a friend that you haven't seen. So it says you say the bracha shechiyanu. That's in 30 days you didn't see him. If you didn't see him in a whole year, you say the bracha Machaya Mesim. I should mention that Tosfos over here mentions that, and it's brought in Shulchan Aruch, that when do you say this bracha? You didn't see your friend in 30 days, only a friend that's very chaviv, very cherished by you. And such a friend, you would say this bracha. In other words, it's not just an acquaintance, not just someone you happen to know. It's someone who you really have feelings for, very close feelings, very warm feelings towards. That would be an option of saying. Then you would have that option of saying this bracha of Shachiyanu. I must tell you that it's not commonly said. Now, there's also something mentioned among the Paiskim. The Mishnah Berurah brings it down. If you wrote letters to each other during the 30 days, so it's not like you didn't see each other completely, because you did have interaction. Here, let me pull up the Shulchan Aruch here. In chapter 225, it talks about this in the Shulchan Aruch. This Shehachiyanu bracha, and
Rabbi, is it the Shachiyanu or is it the Machaya Mesim?
So here in the Shulchan Aruch it says if a person sees his friend after 30 days, you say Shachiyanu. The Mishnah Berurah says 30 days from the first seeing, and if you received a letter from him or people mention to you regards from him, there is differences of opinion among the Achronim. In Safek Brachos Lahakal, you should be lenient. In other words, better not to say the bracha. So what this means is that nowadays, where you text each other, where you see people on Zoom or on FaceTime or some other, or where you speak to each other on the phone, it would seem to be similar that it definitely would be questionable if you can recite this bracha. So this would only be recited a very close friend, but you haven't really been in touch with him, and you haven't seen him at all in those 30 days or in 12 months. Now, the Tosfos talks also about 30 days, davka chaviv, only if he's very cherished by you. So Tosfos mentions this about the 30 days, seemingly, if it would seem that the Machaya Mesim bracha would be the same. It doesn't, and Shulchan Aruch seems to put them both in the same category. That it has to be chaviv, has to be very cherished. He has to be someone very cherished by you, and you're happy to see him. So that's this law about a friend saying a shechiyanu, and then the Gemara mentions a statement that a mace is not forgotten. A person who passes away is not forgotten from the heart until 12 months. And then we had that story where Rav Papa, Rav Huna were going, and they met Rav Chanina Bered Ravika, and they were quite surprised when he decided he's going to say a bracha on them as if there's 600,000 people. He said the bracha Chacham Harozim. That bracha is normally only recited when you see 600,000 people, but he was saying about them that you people are so well-rounded and understanding of others, and have such different, you're able to handle so many different views, that when I see you, I can say this bracha as if I saw 600,000 people. Chacham Harazim, bracha that praises Hashem, that he knows the thoughts, the different types of thoughts of all the hidden things, the hidden thoughts of every person. And it's a cryptic story. It's a little unclear what exactly happened here, but the conclusion of the story is they told him, "Wow, are you so wise?" And they set their eyes on him. They put their eyes on him. They stared at him, and shachiv, and he passed away. And again, it's unclear what exactly. The commentaries all struggle to figure out, what the meaning of the story is. And one of the explanations that I shared with you on Friday had to do with the fact that Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel argue about who the halacha should be like, if it should be like them or or should be against them. And so Beis Shammai says it should be like him. Beis Hillel says it should be like him. And the meaning behind this argument was Beis Hillel was the majority in people, and Beis Shammai was the majority of opinions. And because of that, Beis Shammai says we're the majority. What does that mean, the majority of opinions? Well, I don't mean that. I shouldn't use those words. But Beis Shammai says we are the majority of knowledge, of intellect, of depth. So you might have majority of people. We have majority of intellect, because it says Beis Shammai, that school was extremely deep and understanding, and they had great depth to their knowledge, tremendous amount of knowledge. And Beis Hillel says was humble, and Beis Hillel used to always say the opinion of Beis Shammai before they said their own opinion. The story is that Beis Hillel was the majority of people. Beis Shammai was majority of intellect, and the conclusion is that the halacha follows the majority of people, and Beis Hillel is right. And we found out that because of the bas koil, a heavenly voice, but ultimately that's the conclusion, and the reason why it really follows Beis Hillel is because they were more humble. But the point is that we follow the majority of people, majority of people, and which means that you go after the quantity, not after the quality. Beis Shammai said we should go after quality. Quality, we have the majority of quality, Beis Shammai says. But Beis Hillel says, no, you go after the majority of quantity. Here, this rabbi over here was, this Rabbi Chanina was emphasizing that we could go after the quality, and therefore he wanted to say that Rav Chanina Bered Ravika, he wanted to say that I could say a bracha on you people because I go after the quality, and you people are the quality equal to 600,000. And on this, they looked at him because he was following Beis Shammai's way of thinking, and therefore he died. So that was an interesting insight. On a more simple level, he was saying something that didn't have any source. It was a very unique, he's innovative opinion that he's sharing, and he doesn't have a source from the earlier rabbis. So they looked at him like, how could you say a bracha? It could be a bracha in vain, and you're saying a bracha on on this claiming that we are chacham haraz, that we deserve chacham harazim, which you normally have to have 600,000 people for, and you're saying that we are equal to that, and based on that, you're reciting a bracha. So it could be that he was a little lax in his bracha levatala concern. In any event, we're up to the next Gemara, the Gemara that talks about different types of people, seeing people with different, that look different than the norm. And there are certain brachas that a person person recites. So that's what we're going to be learning now. We're on page 58b, Nun Ches Amud Beis, and we are Amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. We are maybe 25 lines from the bottom of the page. Maybe 23 lines from the bottom of the page. 2 lines. So, Amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi said, Harayas ha-ba'konim, bahaknim. A person sees bahaknim. Oimer, he says, Baruch Meshane Habriyos, blessed is Hashem, who makes different creations or creatures. And that refers to someone who is freckled, it would seem. Bayhak would mean like some discoloration, and Rashi uses the word lintiloyosh ka'adashim, like lentils. Means he has spots like lentils on him. And I guess freckles. Now, if a person sees if you see someone with freckles, you would say this bracha. Now, the commentaries mention that how often would you say this bracha? So it seems to be a difference of opinion. Is this the first time you see such a person, or is it once every 30 days? When you see such a person and there's a gap of 30 days in between, there seems to be different opinions about it. Now, it also seems to be only when this is like something very different than what you're used to. Because we see people with freckles every day. Maybe people who are much darker, I'm thinking, I don't know if they have freckles, people with a dark complexion. But the official statement here is that Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi says if you see someone who has freckles, you would say this bracha b'shana habriyos, who creates all different types of creatures, which means that this is something out of the ordinary. Now, the Gemara asks a question, is that the right bracha to recite? Meisvei, they asked a question, the Bnei Yeshiva, the scholars in the yeshiva, they asked the contradiction. Ra'a es akushi, if a person sees someone who is black, ve'es hagichar, someone who is red, Rashi says roish balaz, rose, I guess, edom harbe, someone who's very red, means their skin is red, and ve'es halavkon, someone who is very white, and v'es hakipeach, and kipeach has a number of different meanings in the commentaries. Rashi himself brings 2 meanings. One is that he has a large stomach, and because he has such a large stomach, it looks like his height is missing. In other words, he's too wide and not tall enough, so he looks abnormal. Then Rashi gives another explanation, something to do with a very long face, and somehow it looks very disgusting, long and narrow, and it has an unpleasant appearance. Now, there's also this concept of someone who's bent over, very thin, and his body can't support him, so he's bent over, and it looks like his spine slipped out of place. In other words, that's another meaning of kippach. Anyway, if you see one of these people, again, the someone who's red, someone who's white, very white, person who's this kipeach, which we just gave a few explanations. The person sees these people, vas hananos, and a nanos. A nanos is a dwarf. Vas hadarkinos, hadarnikos, excuse me. Hadarnikos. Hadarnikos, Rashi says two pshatim, two explanations what Hadarnikos is. One of them is that he has some type of warts. And another one is that has some type of a cleft and some distorted shape of his mouth, probably a cleft. So the Hadarnikos. So on all these types of people, you say Baruch Mashana Abris. You do say this bracha that Hashem creates different types of people. The Brisa mentions another section, another bracha that was recited for other types of abnormalities, but it mentions esakiteya, a person whose hands are amputated, or hand is amputated. Vesasuma, a person who's blind. Vesuye haroish, someone whose hair is it looks like felt and it's all attached to each other.
It says matted in matted scroll.
What does matted mean?
It's all clumped together.
Okay.
Here it says a flat-headed person.
So Rashi uses this term that it's dovuk, it's attached together. So I guess that would be like Robert is saying, and maybe David's shot. I don't know. Is that connected to being flat? What does flat-headed mean? Just it looks flat, not round.
I'm not really sure. Not really sure.
Okay. So these type of cases, versus his hand is amputated, or an amputee, or hadar nana, one second, an amputee. Assume a blind person, this person with the hair issue, that it's the hair is matted. V'esachiger, and someone whose leg is amputated. V'esamuka shchin, someone who has boils. Plagued with boils. Ves habahaknim. This is why we brought this whole brisa, because bahaknim is someone who has freckles. So bahaknim, people who have freckles. Omer, what bracha do you say? Baruch dayin ha'emes. You say the bracha dayin emes, and not the bracha mashana abriyot. So the Gemara is trying to figure out which bracha is the correct bracha. You seem to have a contradiction, because Rabbi Shua Levi said bahaknim, you say mashana abriyot. And bahaknim again meant someone with freckles. And here the Brisa says bahaknim, you say daina emes, who's the true judge. The Gemara gives a very understandable answer that Gemara says loikasha hamimei imai ha basar de isyali. There's a difference here. Depend. This one is talking about when he was born that way from the womb of his mother, and the other is after he was born. He got plagued with this bahaknin, with this freckles. So in Dekanami, it can also be, it's meduyak. This fits the wording of the brisa as well. It's meduyak. Meduyak means it fits the wording. It's meduyak. It fits in the words. Diktani, because we learned, and because it says over there in that brisa, dumya de kiteya, it mentions it next to kiteya, implying that it's similar to kiteya. Kiteya was this person whose arm is amputated. So, person whose arm is amputated was not born that way. That is instead something that happened after birth. So it would make sense that the other cases are similar to that case. And they're talking about after birth, the person got some freckles. Now, the Gemara says, Shema Mina, we see from here that this is a good proof. And so what comes out is if a person is freckled from birth, then the bracha to recite would be Meshana Habriyos, that Hashem created different types of people, like all many different types. And when a person is plagued with it later, in other words, somehow the freckles they arrive at a later date after a person is born, not born with them. So then you would say the bracha, Baruch Dayan Ha'emes. Blessed is the true judge. And from the Svarim that I saw, it seems that the difference is when a person is born with it from birth, that is emphasizing Hashem's diversity, or his diverse creations, I should say. When a person is plagued with it later, we see it as possibly as a punishment. So Dayan Ha'emes means Hashem judged him. We trust that he judged him properly, even though it's painful for us to see. But we believe that Hashem judged him according to what and gave him whatever Hashem feels. So we say the bracha Dayan Ha'emes. When a person has it from birth, it's not a punishment. So it's not coming through judgment. It's more coming through some type of mazel or some there's some reason why Hashem wants this person to have this challenge, and therefore you wouldn't say the bracha Dayan Ha'emes. It's not based on God's judgment. It's based on Hashem's choice of how He created him. Something along those lines gives us a little understanding of the difference between these two brachas. And the idea is that Hashem, if a person wasn't born, he doesn't deserve any punishment. And so you can't say Dayan Ha'emes because he wasn't really in this world to do any good or bad. So how could he get punished? But to say that Hashem diversified his creation, then you could say Meshana Habriyos. Yes, Ben.
I wanted to say, I thought I heard you say Meduyak.
Meduyak.
Meduyak, you said. So I thought it's Meduyak. So the wording is accurate. Meduyak is accurate.
No, he's talking about Daikalami.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Ezra, for explaining. So yeah, so the Gemara said Dekanami. How did I translate it? Okay. Well, anyway, we'll use your explanation that it's more accurate, that we see it's accurate. Dekanami. Is that how I should translate it, Ben?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Accurate. Dekanami. It's meduyak. It's accurate. It seems to be more. It fits with the accuracy of the other examples. It's meduyak. I don't know. I don't like that translation. That's the truth. Dekanami means
the exact meaning.
I was going to ask Ben, what's the word for freckles? Is that
bohak? Is that modern Hebrew also? Freckles?
Freckles is English. I don't know.
What's the Hebrew word? People in Israel don't have freckles, I guess.
I don't know. Freckles is what? Dots, colored dots, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, what's the Hebrew? Probably bohak, I think.
Nekudot. I don't know. I don't know any word for it.
Okay. All right. So anyway, so this is the conclusion of this partial conclusion. The Gemara is going to continue talking about other examples. I did want to just bring from the Shulchan Aruch over here that the case is talking about where your pain when you see this, when you see the person. Let me just pull up the Shulchan Aruch here. Shulchan Aruch, chapter 225, paragraph 8. Person sees someone who's black. A person sees someone who's gichar, which is red. Lavkan, which means he's white. very white, kipeach, which we said, well, we had a few explanations. The Shulchan Aruch says that his stomach is very large, and because he's so wide, it looks like he's too short for his width. And nanos is
I think what you say white is albino.
Okay.
Rabbi, freckles in Hebrew is nimish.
No, it's menumashim.
Oh.
No.
What is it, Ezra?
It's freckle face is panim menumashim.
Menumashim, nimish, as Robert said. Okay. Interesting. Okay.
I'm wondering, Rabbi, if the Broch Dayan Ha'emes is a bracha that a person should say quietly to himself, because here you see this guy, and all of a sudden, Broch Dayan Ha'emes, like somebody died. It would make him very embarrassed.
Feel bad, right? Yeah, it doesn't say that you have to say it out loud. I don't see it saying anything about saying it out loud. The thing is like this, because we travel so much and we see all different types of people, we don't live in a little shtetl. I don't know if the custom is to recite these brachas, because we see people like this all the time. You know what I mean? It's different. It was different in the olden days when people didn't travel as much. And if they did travel, they saw it once in their, in 5 years when they had to travel somewhere. They saw someone like this, and because in their shtetl, they never had anyone that was freckled, and they never had anyone that was black, and they didn't have anyone that was. I would definitely be careful, about reciting these, any of these brachas, because we're so used to we see people all the time like this. So it's not something surprising. It's really supposed to be something that's like different, out of the ordinary. Now, so it mentions over here that nanos, a dwarf, darkoina, someone who has some type of warts or blisters, and pesuye roish, the hair is all matted. And the pill kaif, which we'll soon mention, the pill and the kaif, which is a pill is an elephant, a kaif is a monkey, which we're soon going to mention in the Gemara. So it says all these things, you say the bracha meshane habriyos. And then it mentions if you see someone who is chiger or kitea, lame, or kitea is an amputee, blind, mukashchin, someone who's has boils, bahaknin, which we're translating is which in the Shulchan Aruch also translates it as someone who's freckled, and if they were born that way, you say Mishana Briyos. If they became that way, you say Dayan Emes. And then it mentions in the Shulchan Aruch, V'yesh Misha Omer, some say Davka Misha Mitzta'er, only if you're pained over the person. So it seems to be at least some say this, that the ruling is that it's specifically if you're in pain over seeing this person, that you're saying Dayan ha'emes, that Hashem judged, Hashem is the true judge. It's like, because you're in pain seeing the person be punished in such a way, so you want to be matzdik olav esadin, you want to give Hashem the honor of praise that he is righteous in his judgment. In other words, because you're saying this person is judged, you're saying Dayan ha'emes, you're looking at him and you see that he was judged in a unfavorable way, so to speak. So you want to give Hashem the respect by saying, we trust you, Hashem, for whatever you do. So on the bracha Dayan ha'emes, you say this. You only say it if you're in pain when you see this person in his state.
Rabbi.
Now it does mention this is from the Mishnah Brura, that it's specifically referring to the bracha of Dayon Ha'emes. But the Bracha Meshana HaBriyos, which means that Hashem made different types of creations, that you don't need to be in pain for, because you're just praising Hashem for his numerous creations. But when you're talking about judgment, it's connected to when you're in pain for seeing such a person. Yes, David.
Yeah, the word that we're translating as spotted people or freckled people. I'd like to ask Ben in modern Hebrew if this has a meaning, this word ha-ba-ha-konim.
Vayhak. Vayhak, by the way, is mentioned in the Torah with regard to in Tazria. It does mention this word, and Rashi over there says, like, I think Rashi mentions over there about a freckled person. Vayhak, it talks about tsaras, leprosy. But anyway, if you wanted to ask Ben, are you familiar with that word, Ben?
I wouldn't know that word, no.
Okay, fine.
Really?
Thank you. Yes, Moshe.
Didn't David HaMelech, wasn't he freckled also? I mean, I'm just curious. He was
I
had
didn't
red,
see him.
red
I don't
skin
know.
and freckles. No,
Oh,
I mean,
is that what it says?
from the
Yeah, it says
description,
that.
I thought from the. No, I'm just asking. I thought maybe from the description, which was explained, that he was reddish skin and he was freckled.
Does it say freckled? I forgot. I don't recall seeing that, but it could be. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think because you
That
had
Ben,
red.
it said freckled also with reddish skin.
Yeah,
Okay,
the red,
sounds good.
the red hair makes him prone to freckles.
Okay, maybe. Yeah, I have to look up the psukim again. Somehow, some people are very. They remember all the specific details. So thank you, Moshe, if that's correct. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so this is the these are the two paragraphs in Shulchan Aruch about these laws, and that's what the Mishnah Berurah mentions about stavka if someone's pained, and then it mentions that you only say this bracha the first time because it's a big change, and some say 30 days to 30 days. Now, the Mishnah Berurah says that from 30 days to 30 days, you didn't see this person within 30 days. You didn't see such a person, so you should say the bracha without Hashem's name. Okay, so let's go back to the Gemara now. So the Gemara says that we explained the difference, and we saw it in Shulchan Aruch, that there's a difference between someone who's born that way and someone who was, after they were born, they became that way. So these are the different brachos. Now the Gemara says, Tano Rabbanan, the rabbis learned, Haroya pil kaif v'kipaif. A person sees a pill, an elephant, a monkey, and some type of a bird who's
An owl. It says an owl.
An owl, a kipuf. Is that the translation nowadays? Is that modern Hebrew also? No. How do you say owl?
Kippur is a porcupine.
Oh, porcupine.
It says in Steinfeld, vulture.
A vulture. Okay. We got an argument between all the translations.
He said,
well,
versus Rashi, he says a vulture.
Okay.
I think you skipped Lo Kasha. Did you skip that section?
No, we said that. Yeah. Okay, so a person sees these type of creations, these type of animals. So you say the bracha Baruch Meshana Briyos. It says the bracha, blessed is Hashem who creates changes in creations, different creations, diversity in creations. And one of the commentaries mentions here that it seems that the reason why you say it for these, specifically these animals, is because they are similar to humans. There's something similar about them to humans. Now, a monkey, I guess.
Monkey, I can
Look,
see it. I don't.
But an elephant, I don't know. I'm not really sure what the similarity is. But this bird, or whatever this kipuf is, however that you translate it, it says that the cheeks are similar to that of a person. Kipuf. Yesh lo l'sasos l'chayayim. The cheeks and the jaw are like a human. So so that is similar to a person. I don't know about the elephant. I guess we need someone who studies animals to explain to us how the elephant is similar to a human in some way. In other words, more than other animals are. Well, there must be some similarity.
Maybe very heavy human, like a 500-pound, 1,000-pound. You know, there are some.
Right.
Maybe they would
say that again.
Maybe they would look more like an elephant, 500-600-pound person.
Oh, 500-600 person. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, in any event, it says that one of the commentaries says that these resemble a person. The Meiri mentions this. Now, briyais toivais. Now, if a person sees beautiful creatures, and v'ilanais toivais, beautiful trees, Omer says, Baruch shekachalei ba'ilamai. He says, blessed is Hashem that there is
such things
in his world, right? That the shekachalei in ba'ilame, there is such in his world. This is also brought in Shulchan Aruch. Haraya ilanis tayvais abriyais nice. Person sees beautiful good trees and beautiful creations. And it says even avodas kechavim or behema, even a guy and an animal, you say this bracha. And the Mishnah Berurah says bein zacharim bein akevais, whether it's a male or a female. Now he says nowadays we are not noyeg to say this bracha. Nevertheless, you could say it without Hashem's name. And it's interesting that you would say this bracha by just glancing at it, because to gaze at a non-Jew would be a problem.
Rabbi?
Oh, unless it's talking about the idol itself. No, it's talking about a guy. Oived Gelulim. That's not Avodas. So Oived Gelulim. Just 1 second. Oived Gelulim. And Afilu Oived Gelulim. So it says over here that you would say this bracha Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech ha'olam shekach alei ba'olamai, and you only say it once and no more. Not on that person and not on others, unless they were more beautiful than that person. And here it says that the Sharatzian mentions that you have the same opinion before that says from 30 days, that there is an opinion that says you do say this bracha from 30 days to 30 days. Yes, Ben.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, I think the singer Cher had a son and they called him, they said elephant face. And so there must be people that they do compare to elephants.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Thank you for adding to our we need everyone to share their knowledge and help us understand the Gemara. Thank you. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, maybe that'll help us understand it. The next Gemara is talking about a certain bracha that a person says, and if you remember, we said in the Mishnah, if a person sees a zikin, ala zikin vala zvois vala ru'amim vala ruchais vala brokim, you say baruch shekoichoi v'rasai malei olam. And we say this bracha about Hashem's strength, his energy, his strength fills the world. And the Gemara says, what is zikin? Al hazikin. My zikin, Amar Shmuel. Shmuel says, Kaychva deshavit. Kaychva deshavit, Rashi says, it's a star that comes down like a arrow in the heavens from one place to another, and it's long like a shevet, like a stick, which that's thrown. And it looks like the heavens is opening. So it's some type of
shooting star. It's a shooting star.
So if a person sees that, you would say this bracha. V'yamar Shmuel, and Shmuel says, Nehirin li shvilei deshmaya, the paths of heaven are so shining to me. Kishvilei de Neharda, like the pathways in Neharda, like I know the heavens. This is a very interesting thing that Shmuel says, that he's a someone who knows the sky. He understands the heavenly, or the entities in the sky, just like he knows his hometown. That's how knowledgeable he is. But
a shavit is like a flying flame. It's a burning part of a star that's flying through the sky, but you can see the flame behind it.
So I think there are two explanations with this. One of them is that it's a comet, and the other is a meteor.
Yeah, but still they're defined as shooting stars.
Yeah, both of them are
shooting stars. Yeah, because they have a tail and they have a flame.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So so Shmuel says that I know these things. Levar mikoichva deshavit. Besides for this koichva deshavit, which we're translating as a shooting star, the lo yadana mahi, which I don't know what it is. Ugmiri deloy avar kisla, but I do know that the shooting star cannot pass through the Kisla, which is a constellation called Kasil, which is Orion. That this shooting star can't go there. The Avar Kisla, if it would go through that constellation, Charav Alma, the world would be destroyed. So, in other words, the constellations have certain orbits that they, and if something is messed up in the heavens, it could mess up the whole world. Everything is hanging, so to speak, and if anything is if anything goes off track, the whole world could fall and be destroyed or become non-existent. So so Shmuel mentions that I don't know about this Kleichva Deshavet, except this point that that if it goes off orbit, the world will be destroyed. If this or the Kleichva Deshavet, I should say, if the Kleichva Deshavet goes into the constellation of Kisla, the world will be destroyed. The Gemara asks, but we do know that the shooting star does sometimes pass into this Kasil. So the Gemara answers, Zivehu da'avar. Only it looks like its shine passes through. U'mischazi keda'avar iu. It looks like it itself passes through, but it really doesn't. And therefore, the world is in existence. Rav Huna Braid Rav Yeshua Amar, Rav Huna, the son of Rav Yeshua, says, Viloin hu demikra. That what is this koichva deshavet? What is this? What we're translating as shooting star? Rav Huna Braid Rav Yeshua says it's a Viloin. It's the heavenly, there's seven heavens. One of the heavens. Well, we when we say Shema, we have in mind Hashem is on top of the seven heavens and the one earth, right? Echad, seven heavens and Ches, 8, 7 heavens and 1 earth. And so one of the heavens is called Viloin, which literally means a curtain, right? I think. And yes. So Viloin hu demikra, it's like the heavens that's called Viloin, it's torn. That's what the Umechze Nahira Derakia, it looks you could see the light of the heavens, or the heaven called Rakia, which is another one of the heavens. So in other words, that is the Koichva Deshavet, is when the V-line is torn and you can see the Rakia heaven. Again, there are 7 heavens, and one of them is Rakia, one of them is V-line. And if the V-line is torn, you could see it through that tear. Now, Rav Ashi says, what is this Koichva Deshavet? He has another shot. Koichva hu da'akar mehagisa de Kisla. When a star moves from one side of this constellation called Kisla, which is Orion, and so one star is uprooted from one side, and its friend, in other words, another star, it sees from the other side, and Mivis, it becomes afraid. So basically, and it seems as if the star is going through the constellation called Kisla. So one star is moving from one side, and another star is on the other side. And it looks like the star passed from one side into the other, which would basically, I guess, be very dangerous. Mivis, it becomes afraid of this. It seems like if a star moves, like the other stars are afraid of it, like it could have certain powers or effects even on the stars, and therefore it becomes afraid. So when one star is removed from one side and it sees the other star coming from the other side, so it gets afraid, and it thinks that it looks like, it appears that it's command avar, like it went through Kasil. I don't know if that means it went through it, meaning away from it, or through it into it. I guess it means to get out of it. in any event, something to do with the constellations. Shmuel Rami. Shmuel said there seems to be a contradiction. Ksiv oisa osh ksil v'chima. It says Hashem makes these constellations, osh, ksil, and kima. Uksiv oisa kima uksil. And it says the opposite order, that he does kima and kasil. Now, what's the right order? Is kasil and then kima, or is it kima and then kasil? How could this be? So the Gemara answers that each one needs each other for the world to exist. If not for the heat of kasil, the constellation, the world wouldn't exist because kima is a constellation which is connected to cold. And so you need the heat of Ksil to warm up the coldness created by Kima. And if not for the cold of Kima, the world wouldn't exist because Ksil is so hot. So that you have the heat of Ksil, and the coldness of Kima helps out. It cools down that heat of Kasil. And so now we're understanding getting a little more into the constellations. Ugamiri, and we know we have a teaching that has been passed down, a tradition. Ilav, Uksa, the Akraba, the Manach, ben Ahar Dinar. If not for the ukza, the tail of the akra, the scorpion of scorpion, but here it actually refers to Kima, the constellation of Kima, and Rashi over here says that ukza, the akraba, is the Nahar Madonis Kima, that basically that the if not for the tail of Kima, the Munach ben Ahardina, that it's placed in a stream of fire, Kolman to have a triko le akraba le have a chay. If anyone was bitten by a scorpion, would never live. So somehow the something to do with constellations, that a person gets bitten by a scorpion, he's able to live because of the fire of Nahar Dinar, which it lessens the strength of the scorpion's bite, and somehow it allows a person to live. So Nahar Dinar, nar is a fire. So somehow the Kima is cold, and it somehow it heats it up, so it allows a person to live if they get bitten down here on earth by a scorpion. Okay, we're going to stop here. Wish you all an easy fast.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rob.
Okay.
We're seeing you this afternoon.
Yeah, or maybe Rabbi Rice.
Okay.